Once upon a time, Apple decided to make it really hard to decide which iPad to buy, and unless you missed the update, they just did the same thing with their iPhones. Don't worry though, I'm here to help break it all down. In this video, we're going to go through Apple's latest lineup of iPhones and help you decide which of these you should buy if you're due an upgrade this year. And before we get into all that though, I am a big believer that you do not need to upgrade tech that is still functioning well for you. So before you get lured in by the promise of the new and the shiny, I'm going to go out there and say that absolutely none of the phones I'm about to talk about are must-have upgrades. Up until very recently, I was rocking an iPhone 15 Pro Max from 2 years ago, and that thing was still trucking, running all the latest software and taking amazing photos. Now, if on the other hand, you're running something like an iPhone 11, 12, maybe even a 13, you're probably starting to find battery issues, or things might just be starting to slow down with the latest software running. Or you might be wondering what all the fuss is about with Apple Intelligence. Well, in this video, we're going to go through the latest iPhone lineup and look at which you should buy based on your needs. Let's take it from the top with the iPhone Pro and the Pro Max then. These are the most expensive of the bunch, starting at over $1,000, and given that you can spec them all the way up to 2 terabytes of storage, they really can get eye-wateringly expensive if you spec them right up. And what's really interesting this year is that there used to be a bunch of differences between the standard Pro and the larger Pro Max. The larger one used to have the biggest screen, the biggest battery, and also the best camera set. But with the latest models, they've made it so the cameras are exactly the same on both the 17 Pro Max and the 17 Pro model, so the only reason to buy the Pro Max is if you want the biggest screen and battery. That's a pretty good reason to buy it, but be warned that this screen is massive. They've been gradually creeping the size up over the years, and the Pro Max is getting both big and heavy compared to some of the others in the range. Now, what else can we say about Apple's Pro phones this year? Well, everything else I'm about to say applies to both the Pro and the Pro Max. Apple have really lent into the Pro label this year, so if you're a content creator or just into taking outstanding photos and videos, this is the best iPhone you can get for that purpose. This rear array of cameras are all 48 megapixel sensors, so whether you're in standard wide mode, ultra wide, or zoomed in with this insane telephoto, you're gonna get some super high resolution pics that have got excellent dynamic range and are super crisp. Likewise, you can take amazing video footage on these and even record in log format, which allows you to grade the footage afterwards for a more professional look. Now, those log formats eat storage like no tomorrow though, so you'll either need to pony up for the larger storage models or connect a drive via the USB port to record onto. The selfie camera also gets an upgrade with a new square sensor that lets you adjust the photo to fit in more people, even if you're holding it in portrait orientation. It's a really clever trick, so clever in fact, it's almost odd that Apple didn't just keep this for the Pro models. Spoiler alert, that selfie camera is on almost all of the latest range. The other big news with the iPhone Pro models is that they have a cooling system built in. That's because the new chip has got MacBook levels of computing power, apparently, and is likely to get very hot doing high intensity tasks like filming pro video or playing AAA games for long periods. I've had this one a week and I haven't felt it get warm yet, even when it's charging, so it's definitely working. Now, this year, Apple have chosen to move from a titanium body to an aluminium unibody frame for their Pro range. Now, this does give it slightly less of a premium feel and rounder edges than the last few rounds of iPhone Pro models, but that does also help it nestle in your hand much more easily. And as you may have seen, that also means the phone is much more prone to damage than previous models. Yeah, Scratchgate is officially a thing, particularly on edges and this camera bump, or as Apple are calling it, the plateau. The blue and orange colours seem to be the worst affected, so I recommend grabbing the silver version to minimise any damage showing if you are prone to dropping your phone. And all that means, if you're spending your hard-earned money on one of these phones, you're going to want some decent protection. Luckily, my friends from Moft are here to help with this rather excellent survival kit. And this little bundle is full of essentials that make life as an iPhone owner that little bit easier. First up, there's the Movas case. It's made from vegan leather, so no cows are harmed in the making of your setup. It's slim, stupidly lightweight, and also MagSafe compatible. The Misty Cove finish paired with Apple's new silver design looks absolutely stunning, and yep, very difficult to scratch this phone with this installed. And it comes in plenty of other colours too to match your vibe. Now, the real MVP though is Moft's Field Wallet. This thing is a Swiss army knife disguised as a wallet. It holds up to 8 cards, doubles as a phone stand, and still manages to stay compact and sleek when it's not in use. If you need to watch Netflix on the train, easy. If you want to look like a productivity god on a video call, sorted. This bundle also throws in a premium lanyard that works really well with the case. It's great for travel or just surviving London without getting your phone stolen. And it also includes a clever 2-in-1 watch band with a snap that is so addictive you will not be able to stop playing with it. You can pick up the Snap Studio Box at the link in the description, and thanks again to Moft for sponsoring this video. Next up, let's have a look at Apple's first completely new phone design in over 6 years, the iPhone Air. And in case you missed my full review of this one, I've got very mixed thoughts on this model. On one hand, it's an absolute joy to hold. Titanium frame, super thin and light, and still packing an awesome 120Hz ProMotion screen. And also, Apple perhaps don't get enough credit here for just trying something new. We seem to be always bashing them for staying safe, and this thing is definitely out of the lane for them. On the other hand, I tried it for a week and I found the battery life was really poor, especially when using 5G and GPS, which, to be fair, is pretty standard expectations for a phone. But judging by other comments on that video, your mileage may vary. For me though, 5 days out of 7, I was getting 6 hours or less on a full battery before needing to charge it up, and that's just not okay for my use case. Also, I found the lack of multiple camera lenses other than the 48 megapixel fusion lens just a little underwhelming. Apple did, however, fit the new square selfie camera here too, which is a strong addition. Now, it's not that the camera performs badly. If you've never used an iPhone Pro model before, you'll probably think this is amazing, but the lack of an ultra-wide or a telephoto zoom shot beyond a small 2x zoom was super noticeable to me. It's also priced at an interesting level, midway between the Pro and the regular iPhone 17. That means that this is a premium purchase, and also that Apple have been able to nudge up the price of the Pro model so that it's over $1,000 for the first time. Now, in spite of that price point, the funny thing is, compared to the iPhone 17, which we are getting to, the iPhone Air arguably offers less. Okay, you get a bigger screen, slightly, and that lovely titanium frame to keep things safe, but then you only get the 1 camera lens rather than 2, and we've already talked about battery life. Now, to me, this is very literally form over function. That is what you're paying for here. If you're thinking of getting an iPhone Air, here's the question you need to ask yourself. Is having a slim, light phone worth $200 more than having a phone that can do a bit more, especially when the honeymoon period is going to wear off after a few weeks, and you're probably going to want to put a case on it anyway. On the other hand, you might be upgrading from something like an extinct iPhone mini or the iPhone Plus models, and in those cases, you'll probably really enjoy this. It'll be noticeably faster with a better battery life than you're used to, and despite only having that single camera lens, it does take decent photos. But I would strongly suggest looking at this next model before you make your mind up. In my opinion, this next one is probably the most exciting iPhone of the whole bunch. It's the latest regular model, the iPhone 17. I'm about to use a word that you don't ordinarily associate with Apple, but yeah, this iPhone offers genuine value. You get a great camera set with these dual 48 megapixel lenses around the back, and also the new square selfie sensor that's on all the other models. And for the first time with the regular iPhone, you also get the exact same screen that you get with the Pro and Air models. That's 120Hz ProMotion plus 3000 nits of brightness. That's actually a better screen than last year's Pro model iPhone. And arguably this comes with the best range of color options too, with 5 to choose from. That's compared to just 2 with the Air and 3 with the Pro. The only real downside that I can think of is that this one is just a bit smaller than the Air and Pro models at 6.3 inches. Honestly, I think most people should buy this iPhone. As an all-rounder, it's pretty much perfect. It's not going to feel slow or underpowered compared to the others, and you'll also have the added benefit of using it in public without people necessarily knowing you're rocking a brand new iPhone. It also gets the action button and the camera control like you get on the other models, so there's really not much I can say as to why you wouldn't buy one of these. Unless you're a professional content creator, if you're due an upgrade, this is my top recommendation for this year by a mile. And that leaves us with the 16E. Now, you know how all families have got that weird uncle who doesn't really fit in and has a bunch of annoying habits? Yeah, this is the weird uncle of the iPhone family. Now, I don't know what the E stands for, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say it's economy, because this is the most entry-level iPhone in the current range for those who want a new phone but haven't got a large budget. And I'm just now realizing that the E could have stood for entry level too. Anyway, the 16E is inferior in just about every way to the other iPhones. Cameras, battery, screen size, resolution, brightness and quality, button choices, processor, even the glass isn't as good as the others. But you know, it's built for Apple Intelligence, so there's that. To be fair, it is also a full $200 cheaper than Apple's next cheapest iPhone, but really, it's the phone that you recommend your grandma gets, who's probably just going to use it for playing Candy Crush and occasional WhatsApps. If all you need is the basics, you'd be far better off grabbing last year's iPhone 16 over this for the sake of $100, or just saving your pennies and getting the far superior iPhone 17 instead. Well, there we are, folks. I hope that has cleared things up for you. It's the 16e for your grandma or your teenager, the Air if you want the thinnest, lightest iPhone there is and are happy with some compromises, the Pro if you're a professional photographer or videographer, and for everyone else, just get the regular iPhone 17, because this year it's actually not that regular. Now, if you want to go deeper with this, I have made a free downloadable guide which should help you choose which iPhone is best for you and also give you some tips on where to shop to get the best possible price. You can grab it at this code or the link in the description. And meanwhile, if you want to know my honest thoughts on everything else Apple announced this year, just check this one out over here. See you next time, folks.